What's up, everybody? My name is Steven, and this is the new Psyched Media. I'm going to be switching it up, as I've noted on a Facebook post, but I'm going to be switching it up from the old Psyched YouTube channel where I focused on psychology in relation to video games and tech. And it's going to be more of just a general interest, kind of me nerding out in whatever way I see fit. So today I'm going to be talking about role-playing, specifically Dungeons and Dragons. I've recently been introduced, well, not recently, probably about a year ago. I've been introduced, maybe 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I've been introduced to Dungeons and Dragons through my fiance's brother, and I must say I absolutely fell in love with Dungeons and Dragons. I started in 5th edition, played a couple games in 3.5 and Pathfinder. I love both kind of renditions of Dungeons and Dragons. 5th edition definitely suits me better. It's a lot simpler. I can kind of just jump right in. But that's just my personal opinion. I definitely see the pros and cons to both. So yeah, again, today I'm going to be talking about kind of my thoughts on role-playing, Dungeons and Dragons, and things like that. So to start off, I got introduced watching, not necessarily through playing. I was actually introduced first through watching a video called Critical Role, which a lot of you may or may not know. If you don't know it, go check it out. Critical Role, it's on Geek and Sundry. They shoot every Thursday. I'm in Canada and the times don't really match up, so I gotta watch it afterwards. But you know, still, it's really enjoyable. They've been going for a couple of years now, real strong. They're at like 100 episodes. Definitely check it out. Super good, super fun. They're all voice actors, so the voicing and the acting is just phenomenal. So definitely check it out. As for me though, after I watched it, I got really interested. I'm like, this looks amazing. I want to try it out. I've always been interested in video games, more so in the recent, maybe 5 years or so. I really dived into video games and kind of made my own computer and things like that. But I never ever thought about playing role-playing games or tabletop games because that was, never really around when I was younger and stuff like that. I never got really had any friends who were into it, so this definitely opened my world to a whole new fun activity that I could do and that I could do with friends and stuff. So when I started first playing Dungeons and Dragons, it was with my fiance's brother after he introduced me through kind of what I just talked about, Critical Role and whatnot. We played a 5th edition campaign that he was the dungeon master for, and it was with his group of friends, so I got to hang out with them, and actually we all still continue to play to this day. And actually I'm currently running a campaign for them, so I'm the dungeon master. I'm a terrible dungeon master because I don't know the rules enough, so I'm just like, yeah, that sounds cool, let's try that. But regardless, we played, my first campaign I played a, what was I? I was a half-elf rogue, and I got into it. I saw Critical Role, but I honestly did not know anything about Dungeons and Dragons mechanically, so I kind of was really lost, and I didn't actually think about what my character looked like or anything like that until I was asked, and I was like, I am half elf, I look like I don't know. And so that really got me thinking about the nuances of role-playing and things like that, like actually becoming the character, thinking about it, diving in to your character creation and all that stuff. And it was just amazing. I loved it so much. And so kind of as things went on, I created this backstory of how, he had turmoil in his younger life and all that stuff. And there was a war that really affected him. And then also going into the game itself, how, it made me think, how in the game do certain situations affect me? I'm not just playing a game that's a theme park. Things actually affect me, and I may change my outlook on everything or anything like that. Like things could change so quickly, and the real beauty of role-playing and Dungeons and Dragons and other games like it, you can do whatever you want to do as long as it's in your imagination. You don't have to worry about graphics or functionality like you would with video games. Role-playing games and Dungeons and Dragons, and again, other games like it, are so diverse that the only thing holding you back from a truly great game is kind of yourself and your imagination, because you really have to dive into that. Also, I felt really awkward getting into it. It was weird to kind of like take on this persona or anything like that. And I gotta say, it's gonna be awkward. I'm not gonna tell you to just jump in and you're gonna be fine. But definitely try your best to kind of chill out a little bit, just realize it's all fun and games, and really dig into that character and play that character the way that you think that character would kind of be. So, for instance, my half-elf rogue named Lazaric, he was an assassin. So he was kind of secretive, he was quieter. He wasn't a thief, so he didn't go out and steal or anything like that if he didn't have to. And when he did, it was typically against richer people or anything like that. On the flip side, though, he really hated authority and would really talk out against, you know, if someone's trying to really puff out their chest, he would kind of be right there with a quick remark or some sort of defiance, even if it would cause an issue later on. And I knew that as a player, I knew that there would be issues later on. In-game, that character, he said those things because that's the personality that I gave him. And that made for some really fun situations. Also, you have to think about how he would, or he or she would interact with other characters, whether it's non-player characters or your friends, the other people playing with you. You got to think about how they would talk to each other. It wouldn't necessarily be the same way that you would talk to them as them. You have to think about how your character would talk to their character. One of the best things too about Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games, aside from the fact that there's no graphic, issues or anything like that, is you can use whatever you want to visualize, right? So I like miniatures, and a lot of people do. You don't necessarily need them. You can use whatever. I've seen people use bottle caps and things like that through other YouTube channels and whatnot. I personally like the miniatures. I like painting them and things like that. I also have the money to spend on that, but it takes a long time to really make the collection. So for instance, I got all these guys that you can see behind me. This is not all of my collection. This is just the painted stuff that I kind of have out so people can see. I also have a bucket full of unpainted miniatures. You can get boxes, board games, Dungeons and Dragons board games that you can use that come with about 40 miniatures unpainted. You can use those or you can paint them up like I do. But also my character that I played, my very first character I bought, this was Lazaric. This was my first character. He was a nice little assassin rogue, and I also painted this myself. A lot of my minis I paint myself. Recently I've kind of been buying the pre-painted stuff just because they're quick and easy. And a lot of the miniatures I have, I don't really care about them all that much, so I don't really care to paint them, which kind of sucks. But a lot of the fun, main miniatures and stuff, if you can get your own and paint them, that's really awesome. So this is Lazaric, I think he was level 6 rogue assassin. So this is a really big thing. I don't want to make this video too long. I kind of gave you my general thoughts on the concept and on Dungeons and Dragons, as well as shared a little story about my experience with Dungeons and Dragons. There will be for sure, more videos around Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games in the future, where I go into depth with a few, concepts or anything like that. But I figured I'd open it up with this, just kind of get my experience out there, kind of get that connection going, and seeing where all of this leads. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you like and subscribe to keep up to date on all the new videos that I'm going to be putting out there. If you have any suggestions, any comments, anything like that, you know what to do. And I hope you are psyched about nerding out.